The Overdose, Quick Fix, and Amputator. This seemingly random set of weapons is just a few of the many different unlocks Medic brings to the table. But beyond a first glance, these weapons are more than just random picks from Medic's arsenal. As the title of the video says, they make up what I would consider Medic's most fun loadout. See, as popular and more effective that some of Medic's loadouts are, like the crossbow, Uber saw, and either the Kritzkrieg or stock medigun, depending on what the situation calls for, they often leave other loadouts in the dust simply because their use cases are much more niche and not always effective in every scenario. But this loadout is way more than just a gimmicky side grade. It's a surprisingly solid loadout that excels in ways you might not expect. The main reason I want to talk about this loadout today is because it seriously made Medic a new favorite class of mine. See, I've always enjoyed playing Medic, but I really only played him out of necessity. But this single loadout turned him into a class that I now play as a conscious decision, and once I started using it more and more, there was no going back. So let me talk about this specific loadout and explain to you how using it could make you have more fun with Medic than you might have ever imagined. Now, before going into the fun synergy and practicality of this loadout, I just want to give a quick refresher for each weapon's stats. The Overdose gives you a speed boost when held, based on the percentage of your Uber, at a small cost to your needle's overall damage. And like a lot of people have said before, the damage penalty is basically non-existent, since at base damage it's literally a difference of 1 damage point. Sure, damage ramp up, fall off, and crits with the Overdose are a bit lower compared to stock, but again, you basically just need to hit a handful more syringes to kill whatever's running at you. Also, I have to give a shout out to the Overdose's damage output, since you'd be surprised how often it can actually save you if you land your needles just right. The Quick Fix gives you both faster healing and Uber build rates, and a triple healing rate on Uber activation at the cost of less overheal on your patient. Even I'll admit it's the weakest medigun in the game, but it's undeniably the king of pure healing potential and just keeping your team's health topped off. Speaking of which, the fact that you also receive a bit of overheal on the Uber's activation is nice for letting you survive otherwise lethal damage thresholds. Yeah, that's right. Looking at you, quick-scoping sniper. And finally, the Amputator grants you extra health regeneration when held and lets you heal multiple nearby teammates at once by taunting or pressing M2 at the cost of dealing less damage. Although not always the most useful of Medic's melee selection, it does fill a useful niche for when your whole team is grouped up together and in desperate need of healing. Okay, loadout time. Now it's important to understand that in the context of this loadout, the Overdose, Quick Fix, and Amputator all synergize with each other in one way or another, the easiest of which to explain would be the first two. Given that these items are a part of the same item set, they actually have quite a bit of good use together. Oh man, I really wish I could say the same thing about all item sets. The Quick Fix's faster Uber build rate means that you can take advantage of the Overdose's speed boost more often, letting you get around the map and to healing targets much faster, pretty much whenever you need. Speaking of the Quick Fix Uber, while it can definitely help you tank some damage, it's not exactly the best at protecting you from higher burst damage. So that's where the Overdose's speed boost comes into play, since if you're using the Quick Fix, you're always going to have high Uber counts, if not full Uber, at any given moment. This makes that speed boost especially handy at dipping out of sticky situations where you just can't tank oncoming damage from the whole enemy team. Believe it or not, the Quick Fix and Amputator actually complement each other pretty well, albeit a little more situationally. When a good chunk of your team is in desperate need of healing and you're all in a relatively safe spot, you can just right-click and heal them all at once with the Amputator, then top off everyone's remaining health with the Quick Fix. I found this to be one of the best ways to heal tons of players extremely quickly, especially when your Quick Fix Uber isn't quite ready to use yet. And yeah, this is definitely riskier to do in more open areas, but if you're safe or ballsy enough, this combo can actually prove its worth more often than not. And the final weapon synergy we have today is the Overdose and Amputator, and they actually have a pretty similar combo potential with the first weapon pairing, since the Amputator's AoE healing effect does build your Uber. Now this definitely isn't a huge amount of Uber by any means, but any extra Uber being built will help you in the long run for when you do need the Overdose's speed boost to get out of a pickle. Alright, with weapon synergies aside, the next thing I want to cover is the type of playstyle this loadout creates. There's one in particular that makes Medic a more mobile force to be reckoned with, is my absolute favorite way to play the class, and can be summed up in one word: speed. Speed is the name of the game with these weapons, both in faster movement and faster healing rates. Because oh my god, playing medic this way makes you so much faster and active on the team. The most straightforward part of this playstyle is utilizing the overdose's speed boost capabilities. When you're making your way around the map while holding the overdose, any uber charge percentage you have, so long as it's above 10%, is gonna make you faster overall. Now, the minimum 2% faster movement speed with 10% Uber won't feel like much at all, but you are still technically getting around quicker, and it probably goes without saying, but no matter how little increase in speed you have, any increase at all is going to be useful. But it's time to address the elephant in the room. Given that the crossbow is Medic's most powerful and useful primary, using the overdose means that you're now missing out on long-range healing options, which isn't ideal in most scenarios. But you know what? Who needs the crossbow? Since with this loadout, now you're the crossbow. The best way to heal people from a distance with this loadout is to pull out the overdose and use that speed boost to reach your healing target quicker and patch them up, which, when done with the quick fix, lets you heal the rest of your target's health faster than any other medigun. The quick fix's overheal penalty also lends itself very well to building Uber in the first place, since your healing target receives less overheal, meaning that you never reach the Uber build rate penalty that you otherwise would with full overheal. This guaranteed faster build rate lets you take advantage of the overdose speed boost quicker, more often. Now for the amputator, its time to shine comes when teammates further away need healing all at once. Once you speed on over to them and know it's probably safe to use, pull it out and AoE heal. This lets your whole team heal up simultaneously, and you can also use your quick fix to heal any remaining health the amputator didn't already. So when it comes down to it, this loadout shines in quick, close-range healing and gives you faster mobility to close the distance to make this healing most effective. And it's not always the best at defending or pushing, but that's really not the purpose of this loadout. It's more about making sure that your team is constantly healthy and able to hold their ground, and sometimes that's really all they need. Now, as good as our loadout here is for healing your team, it's also great at keeping yourself healed up. If you're at especially low health and just need a quick boost back up to full HP, the Quick Fix's Uber excels in this regard, bringing you back from the brink of death in just a second. And when you don't have a full Uber, the Amputator's additional health regen per second can help you out quite a lot, letting you heal respectable amounts of health relatively quickly. Just keep in mind that, like other self-healing items in the game, there's an unlisted stat where your health regen starts at 1 if you recently took damage, and builds its way up from there, instead of always starting at 3 like the weapon might lead you to believe. But besides that, it can actually help you survive scenarios you otherwise might not have. This loadout also shines when you're being chased down by an enemy. At the max movement speed buff with the overdose, Medic moves insanely fast, almost as fast as Scout. The obvious takeaway is that whipping out the overdose and gaining extra movement speed easily lets you widen the gap between you and oncoming damage sources, increasing your overall survivability. But at close range, when an enemy is right up in your face, any extra movement speed you've got increases the likelihood that you dodge their shots and make yourself harder to hit. Not to mention walking backwards to retreat, since at near to full Uber, you're still moving faster than Medic's default movement speed and every other class in the game, just shy of Scout. This speed boost also works the opposite way and lets you catch up to your team more easily, making sure you aren't left too far behind the whole team as a sitting duck. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned about the quick fix yet is its ability to let you mirror the blast jumps of your teammates, letting you cover more ground easily or escape any immediate threats right in your face. I will warn you though, try and predict when your healing target's gonna blast jump so that something like this doesn't happen to you. But also, the quick fix's immunity to movement impairing effects on Uber is great at keeping yourself safer from more annoying enemies like Natasha Heavies, Force of Nature Scouts, and Air Blast Happy Pyros. With this baby, no more crying yourself to sleep in the corner. So, to recap, this loadout specializes in outputting high healing numbers, giving you higher mobility, and keeping yourself alive with respectable health regen. And if you ask me, this makes Medic insanely fun, since being able to run around the map at higher speeds and healing people for higher amounts is exactly the type of playstyle I'm looking for when playing Medic. Now, as fun as this loadout is, it's definitely not perfect. In fact, it's got its fair share of flaws that can be avoided with other unlocks. Like I mentioned earlier, the overdose isn't the crossbow, which again means you're missing out on consistent long-range and instantaneous close-range burst healing. This is honestly one of the biggest drawbacks of the entire loadout, since sometimes that long-range healing would be really useful to have.
Why was he running away?
And even though the overdose can make reaching your healing target quicker, it also means that you have to cross potentially dangerous sight lines to heal your teammate in the first place, something the crossbow can negate entirely. And while you probably shouldn't always be trying to damage enemies from afar when playing Medic, you completely lose the crossbow's ability to damage more far-distance stationary targets like sentries and pesky snipers, something the overdose just can't do. Heck, hitting a single powerful shot to take out an enemy outside of the overdose's effective range is now impossible. I think this is all a problem with the crossbow just being too useful at what it does. I've always felt like Medic never needed the crossbow to be useful, but ever since he's had it, it sometimes makes using any of his other primaries feel like a detriment more often than not. Like I also talked about earlier, the quick fix is a beast when you have to heal your whole team, but in no way does that Uber make you unkillable. High burst damage, general focus fire, crits, random or not, backstabs, and charged headshots can all take you out very easily, so you're in slightly more danger when activating Uber than you would be when using some of the other mediguns. In terms of being safe when Ubered, you're second to last, just in front of the Kritzkrieg, but even that can generously take care of anyone who might want you dead. Now look, I get it, the quick fix can't be good at everything, so in exchange for faster overall healing, it received the weakest Uber effect among the mediguns. And that's exactly where I think the main downside of the quick fix comes into play, because no matter how fast the quick fix can heal you up, it's not a guaranteed get out of jail free card. And because of that, you really shouldn't expect to be completely invulnerable with the quick fix. You just gotta play more carefully with it, since unlike Stock and to a slightly lesser extent the Vaccinator, its job isn't strictly to make you unkillable. It's more about healing up to get ready for the next fight, instead of completely tanking your next fight in the first place. And last but not least, we've come to the Amputator, and while its AoE healing effect is pretty useful, it leaves you extremely vulnerable if you use it at the wrong time, especially if your team wanders too far away, or if the enemy decides to push in, leaving you completely defenseless. And that damage penalty definitely doesn't help it as a self-defense option, since 20% less damage can really hurt. And sure, random crits with it are still devastating, but I'm not going to tell you to solely rely on them because that would be kinda stupid. And like the quick fix, the Amputator also suffers from being outshone by other unlocks, especially the Uber Saw, since that's just seen as more universally useful in most cases. But do you want to hear the actual real downside of this loadout? The worst part of playing with these weapons is that you can't use war paints on the quick fix or overdose. Well, at least the Amputator still has us covered. So with all the downsides that using this loadout gives you, you might think it's probably not the best loadout to use then, right? Well, yes. If you ask me, this loadout is, in fact, not the most effective way to play the class. The enemy team's class lineup, the map you're playing on, and the specific weapons they might be using can all easily change the effectiveness of this loadout, making it either much stronger or weaker based on all these factors. So then, that begs the question, when is this loadout the strongest? Well, the main time this loadout truly shines is when you're the only medic on your team, especially in a casual or pub setting. These types of servers are always going to be filled with teammates who are constantly hemorrhaging health and in dire need of healing ASAP, so this loadout is perfect for keeping everybody's health maxed out. Because the thing is, your team doesn't always need crazy pushing, defending, or team wiping potential. Sometimes, in fact more often than not, they just need their health quickly brought up to stay in the fight. But this loadout gets even better with another medic or multiple medics on the team, which I guess is true for all medic loadouts and medic as a class, but okay, just hear me out. One medic can specialize in building Uber, resistance bubbles, or crits to push through tough choke points or holds, while you use your quick fix to heal everyone else who needs healing or who the other medic isn't focusing their full attention on. Basically, the other medic can focus on healing the big guy they see as capable of initiating a game-winning play, while you're there to heal the little guys who are still just as helpful but need their health more immediately topped off. At the end of the day, despite this loadout not always being the most practical to use, I wholeheartedly think it makes up for its weaknesses by giving you a purely enjoyable playstyle switch up. Sure, you might stand the chance of playing more optimally when using other weapons, but when using this loadout, you're still playing the class that specializes in healing your team, which I think is still better than having no dedicated healer at all. So yeah, that's what I would consider Medic's most fun loadout, and again, it's the sole reason I actually started to enjoy playing Medic. Now, is it Medic's best possible loadout? No. Is it always useful in every scenario? Unfortunately, not quite. But is it fun? Hell yes. If you're down for this refreshing experience in TF2 and want to help your team out with more rapid heals, I would give this loadout a try. Now there's a good chance that some of you guys watching probably already use this loadout, so if you do, let me know if you enjoy it, and if you don't happen to use it, feel free to let me know what your favorite loadout for Medic is. But that's all I've got for you guys today, and if you'll excuse me, I gotta get back to playing with this loadout. I seriously just can't get enough of it. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.